Let me ask you first, what do you think the vice president's message is going to be when he arrives here in Munich?
Well, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but I think it's got to be, if he's smart, a message that reassures the allies. The allies are very concerned about the statements that they've heard ever since the primary campaign from Donald Trump. Shocked that he was elected, and I think they're looking for some kind of clear signal that the United States is still committed to the security of Europe, is still committed to playing a leading role in preserving the values and institutions of the West.
That and that the United States will defend Europe against Russia if necessary. What kind of message is he going to bring on Russia when he meets with, for example, Petro Poroshenko or other leaders of countries that sort of serve as a buffer between Europe and Russia?
Right. I mean, again, that's the big question mark, right? We have a president that says he wants to get along with Putin. He wants to reset the relations with Putin, thinks that Putin's a great leader. And yet we have the rest of his administration saying we can't be trustful of the Russians. We have to have a hard line. We have to confront them when they challenge the security of Western states. So I think we're all looking to the vice president and hoping to get a sense of where is this administration? Out of Washington, out of the White House, we don't have that sense.
How seriously do you think world leaders are going to take Mike Pence after the debacle that the National Security Advisor put him through with his failure to disclose discussions with Russian allies about the sanctions?
Well, I think people are hoping that Mike Pence is going to be a stabilizing factor in this White House. The White House seems to be in utter confusion. The first National Security Advisor of this administration resigns in a scandal. And people, I think, are hoping that this is the adult in the room, the person that can sort of streamline processes, bring things back to a rational basis. But after the president's most recent press conference, we just don't know.
Professor, let me ask you a question from London. Let's talk about the security architecture of Europe. Can Europe rely on the United States to act as a primary part of the security architecture that keeps Europe safe at this point?
I think the answer to that is a clear yes. The United States has shown time and again that it's committed to the security of Europe, not because of some kind of goodwill, but because the security of Europe is central to the security of the United States. And I think Congress, and we'll have a number of very high-ranking members of Congress at this meeting this weekend, Congress will ensure that the United States stands up for NATO, fulfills its obligations to its treaty partners. And so I think you can answer that with a clear yes. That doesn't mean, though, that this president, with some of his statements, can't create quite a bit of turbulence. And he's shown that he's able to do that in the first 4 weeks of his administration.
Is he going to raise more money for NATO? I mean, the U.S. pays 70% of the NATO budget, maybe too much. And Germany only pays 1.2% of its GDP, probably too little.
Right. You know, the administration has, I think, a strong commitment to expanding the defense budget. I think there's support for that in the Congress, so I don't think that's going to be a problem at all. Now, does that mean that the Europeans can have a free check and continue the free ride on the defense outlays of the United States? Probably. The United States is going to job on them. They're going to tell them you've got to do more or we're going to do less. But the facts are the Americans are going to do more. We see that the president wants a bigger defense budget. The Congress wants a bigger defense budget. So the funds are going to be there. The materials are going to be there. And it's going to be an interesting game to see how far can they push the Europeans, who I think are understanding that they're going to have to do more. Two people, Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, force the Europeans to rethink security.